Andrew Bliss, a 23-year-old man, was a familiar figure in the small, tight-knit community of Pulaski, New York. With his tall stature of 6'2" and his brown hair and eyes, it made him quite recognizable. His life in Pulaski was unremarkable until the events of June of 2003, which set in motion a series of events that would lead to his mysterious disappearance. Bliss's life seemed to unravel when he abruptly quit his job following a painful breakup. The breakup had hit him hard, leaving friends and family concerned about his well-being. It was this concern that escalated when Bliss suddenly left town in his gray 2001 Chevy Impala without a word to anyone. His departure was so sudden that when he became unreachable, panic set in among those who knew him. On June 23rd, with heavy hearts and a sense of foreboding, his loved ones filed a missing persons report with the New York State Police. The plot thickened when 3 days before the missing persons report was filed, a call came in to the Sawyer County Sheriff's Department in northern Wisconsin. An abandoned vehicle had been spotted parked on the secluded Federal Forest Road 162, a remote area 2 miles north of State Highway 70. The vehicle, a gray 2001 Chevy Impala with New York license plates, was registered to Andrew Robert Bliss. The scene at which Bliss's car was found was eerie and puzzling. The vehicle was deserted, its doors left open as if inviting an unseen presence. The keys were still in the ignition. The gas tank was completely empty. Despite a thorough examination, no clues were found in or around the car. This lack of evidence was confounding, but what added to the mystery were reports from locals who claimed to have seen Bliss. They described him as walking along the road, smiling and waving at passerbys around 8 a.m., not far from where his car was found. A particularly chilling account came from the driver of a logging truck, who claimed to have seen Bliss walking that morning. According to the driver, Bliss was dressed in a long-sleeved shirt and pants, and he turned to wave. This fleeting interaction is the last confirmed sighting of Bliss. Realizing the gravity of the situation, the Sawyer County authorities launched an extensive search and rescue operation. The area along Federal Forest Road 162, where Bliss's car was found, is known for its challenging terrain, a densely wooded forest with swamps. The search party included the Sawyer County Sheriff's Department, the Fire Association, 2 planes from the Civil Air Patrol, and 3 canine units. They combed an 8-mile section of the National Forest for any sign of Bliss. The Sawyer County Gazette reported on the search, describing the area as desolate and swampy, a place where few would wander by choice. Despite the exhaustive efforts, the search yielded nothing. The search teams also checked nearby cabins and any place Bliss could have sought refuge, but they found nothing out of the ordinary. Further investigation into Bliss's past revealed that this wasn't the first time he had run out of gas. On 2 other occasions during his cross-country journey, he had made contact with law enforcement for the same reason. Since his cell phone was not found in the car, it was assumed he had it with him when he disappeared. Yet, why he drove to such a remote area in rural Wisconsin and why he didn't call for help remains shrouded in mystery. The local community was not ready to give up. In response to Bliss's shocking disappearance, they formed a Sawyer County search and rescue team. This dedicated group, composed of adult and youth volunteers, underwent extensive training in tracking, clue awareness, navigation, first aid, and other essential search and rescue skills. They resumed the search for Bliss, even using the opportunity to train new members. During another thorough search of the 8-mile section of the forest where Bliss vanished, the team encountered what they hoped would be a significant breakthrough. Cadaver dogs, part of the search team, alerted their handlers to the presence of what they believed to be human remains in a specific area. With each volunteer spaced out every 10 feet, the team meticulously sifted through the underbrush, hoping to discover any sign of Andrew Bliss. Eventually, they stumbled upon a bone at the base of a tree, hidden beneath a pile of leaves. The discovery reignited interest in the case, with local media speculating that this could be the key to unraveling the mystery of what happened to Bliss. The search and rescue team promptly sent the bone to a forensic anthropologist for analysis, leaving the Sawyer County community in suspense for days. The anticipation turned into disappointment when the results returned. The bone, initially thought to be a human tibia, was identified as that of a bear, which bears a resemblance to human bones. With no further leads to pursue, the search for Andrew Bliss hit a dead end. Despite the lack of evidence, the outdoors men and women of Sawyer County remained vigilant. In 2011, the Sawyer County Sheriff's Office began asking deer hunters to keep an eye out for any clues that might emerge in the wilderness. Pat Sanchez, the Sawyer County Emergency Management Director, expressed the community's determination to the press, stating, "We want to bring closure for his family, and we believe someone may have seen something or stumbled across something. Clothing, glasses, bone fragments, something. Anything found in that area could be relevant to this case." The call to action was clear. If anybody had information, even if it seemed remotely connected to the case, they were urged to contact the Sawyer County Sheriff's Department. The hope is that one day, some piece of evidence will surface that will help solve the disappearance of Andrew Bliss, providing much-needed closure to a family and community haunted by this unexplained vanishing. In the expanse of Virginia's Shenandoah National Park, a perplexing disappearance unfolded, weaving a narrative that would perplex and sadden many. Ty Sawyer, an 18-year-old with a life ahead of him, became the subject of a massive search operation after he inexplicably disappeared into the dense forest on the night of April 22, 2021. This was not merely a case of a young man losing his way. It was a tale of sudden and unexplained psychological turmoil, a family's frantic quest for answers, and a search that would end in heartbreak. Ty's life took a bewildering turn in the days preceding his disappearance. His mother, Chandra Maxwell, recounted the onset of Ty's disturbing behavior, marked by hallucinations that shattered the mundane reality of his life. He was a shelf stalker by day, but his nights became haunted by bizarre delusions. He once sent a text to his mother, inquiring why she had dispatched aliens to surveil him at work. He also believed he was conversing with his late grandfather, a claim that was as distressing as it was mystifying. One morning, in a text exchange that would later haunt Chandra, she reminded Ty of track practice after school. His reply was unsettling. He claimed he was already at practice, a clear impossibility that signaled something was amiss. Ty's parents, Chandra and John Sawyer, were deeply troubled, suspecting that their son might be under the influence of an unknown substance. Their fears escalated when John discovered Ty in a state of unresponsiveness, sprawled in their living room, a cartoon flickering on television as if mocking the gravity of the situation. The arrival of paramedics was met with a sudden seizure that gripped Ty, a violent prelude to the chaos that would soon unfold. At the hospital, it took a team of 8 to restrain him, a testament to the severity of his altered state. Despite a clean drug panel, the hospital inexplicably discharged Ty, leaving his parents in a state of desperation and confusion. Determined to protect Ty, Chandra and John faced an unforeseen challenge. Seizing a moment when Chandra was showering, he grabbed her car keys and fled. His attire was casual and ill-suited for the outdoors. A blue hoodie, blue pajamas, and white sneakers, the sneakers still sheathed in yellow hospital booties. Upon realizing her son had vanished, Chandra reached out to Ty. He claimed he had driven to a convenience store, but his failure to return home signaled a dire turn of events. Utilizing a tracking app, Chandra and John embarked on a harrowing chase, following Ty's erratic path through Philadelphia, Maryland, and nearly catching up with him near the White House in Washington, D.C. However, as they approached Luray, Virginia, Ty's cell signal vanished, and with it, their ability to track his movements. Driven by instinct, Chandra steered towards the Shenandoah National Park, a decision that would lead them to a scenic overlook near mile marker 35 on Skyline Drive. The family had no connection to this remote location, making Ty's presence there all the more baffling. They found Ty in his car, windows locked, engine idling, and music playing, but he was unresponsive to their frantic calls. In a moment of desperation, John, Ty's father, pounded on the car windows, hoping to break through to his son. Suddenly, Ty engaged the car in reverse, nearly hitting his father, and sped off into the night. When Chandra and John caught up, they were met with a chilling scene. The car crashed into a wall, the horn blaring, but Ty had vanished into the forest's dark embrace. The search for Ty was a monumental effort, involving Shenandoah National Park officials, the Virginia Department of Emergency Management, state police, local sheriff's offices, and a myriad of search and rescue organizations. Despite the deployment of 68 searchers, 4 dog teams, a helicopter equipped with infrared sensors, the rugged terrain provided a formidable obstacle. 2 days into the search, a trail of Ty's belongings was discovered, laid out as if marking a path. His hoodie, pajama pants, and sneakers, culminating with his cell phone, its screen shattered and battery life exhausted. The placement of his items suggested that he had taken a direct route through the densest part of the forest. On April 25th, park rangers announced the grim discovery of remains believed to be Ty's. They were sent for confirmation to the medical examiner in Manassas, Virginia. The cause of death was reported as hypothermia and blunt force injuries. The mystery of Ty's hallucinations and erratic behavior remains unsolved. The family suspects an acne medication Ty was taking, which came with a warning of potential severe mental side effects, could be a contributing factor. However, providing a causal link between the medication and his mental state would be a complex and perhaps impossible legal challenge. The tragedy of Ty Sawyer's disappearance and subsequent death is a reminder of the fragility of the human psyche and the urgent need for mental health awareness and intervention. It's a narrative that leaves a family grappling with an immeasurable loss and a community searching for understanding amidst the silent, towering trees of the Shenandoah. In the spring of 1968, the city of Madison, Wisconsin was the unsuspecting stage for a perplexing disappearance that would baffle the community and challenge the authorities for generations. Michael Larson, a 19-year-old with a promising future, was a student at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, known for his academic prowess and quiet demeanor. His life was devoid of the turmoil that often accompanies youth. He was not entangled in a romantic drama, family disputes, or any known feuds. Moreover, he was not burdened by the prospect of military service during a tumultuous era in American history. His disposition was generally cheerful, and his behavior, up until his disappearance, gave no cause for alarm. Michael resided in the university dormitories, but he had been spending the Easter break at his family's home, a period of reprieve before the rigors of academic life resumed. As the break drew to a close, Michael mentioned to his mother that he intended to step out briefly to get a haircut, a routine errand that would soon spiral into a haunting mystery. His mother, accustomed to the independence and responsibility her son had always shown, thought little of it. However, 2 days later, she would receive a distressing phone call from the police that would mark the beginning of an enduring enigma. What Michael's mother did not know was that Michael's departure was not as innocuous as it seemed. Before leaving, he withdrew a substantial sum of $650 from his bank account, nearly depleting it. It was a significant amount of money at the time, equivalent to thousands in today's currency, and it suggested premeditation. Along with the cash, Michael took with him a poncho, suitable for inclement weather, and a map of the Porcupine Mountains Wilderness State Park. The park, known for its rugged terrain and expansive forests, was a considerable distance from Madison. It was not a place one would venture without a reason. The first tangible clue in Michael's disappearance came when conservation officers in Michigan discovered an abandoned green 1962 Volkswagen sedan. The car was found on a remote back road near a gravel pit in the Porcupine Mountains, a location that seemed to corroborate the map that Michael had taken. The vehicle was unlocked, the keys were in the ignition, and the gas tank was full. This suggested a hasty or unplanned departure from the car. The absence of a Wisconsin license plate was peculiar and the traces of blood found around the front seat added a layer of concern to the already mystifying scene. The blood led to speculation that whomever removed the plate might have sustained a minor injury in the process, yet the driver, presumed to be Michael, was nowhere to be found, and there were no discernible clues pointing to his direction or fate. The investigation was hampered by the lack of a vehicle identification number, or VIN, a feature that would become mandatory for passenger vehicles only a year later. Investigators had to resort to unconventional methods, such as examining oil change stickers to trace the car's ownership back to Michael Larson. When officers first attempted to contact Michael, they inadvertently reached out to another Michael Larson, an officer at the Madison Police Department. This coincidence initially led to confusion, but eventually helped to connect the dots when the police officer learned of a missing college student by the same name. The search for Michael Larson, the student, was promptly initiated. Michael was no stranger to the wilderness. He was an experienced hiker and backpacker with a keen interest in science. He had previously embarked on a backpacking trip with his younger brother, Tom, to the Porcupine Mountains, the very park where he had now seemingly vanished. Although not an expert in bushcraft, Michael was competent in basic outdoor survival skills and had a familiarity with the park's terrain. The initial searches were fruitless, and the fear that Michael might have fallen into one of the numerous mine shafts in the area loomed large. Despite the mobilization of extensive search efforts, the results were inconclusive. The sheriff's office eventually sent a disheartening letter to Michael's parents, indicating that the search was being called off due to lack of leads. The arrival of deer hunting season, however, brought a renewed vigor to the search. Hunters were implored to remain vigilant of any signs of Michael, and information about his disappearance was broadcast across local radio stations. It was during this time that a hunter from Detroit stumbled upon a chilling scene near the Lake Superior shoreline, a boot with a bone protruding from it. This discovery led to unearthing of a second boot in a similar state, both showing signs of a bear attack. The timing of Michael's disappearance in April coincided with the period where bears emerged from hibernation, often hungry and potentially aggressive, making a bear encounter a plausible explanation for the state of the boots. Several months later, in the frigid grasp of February of 1969, hunters chanced upon an abandoned campsite deep within the Porcupine Mountains. The campsite, complete with a tent, a canoe, and food suspended from the trees to deter wildlife, immediately became a focal point of speculation. Could this campsite be linked to Michael's disappearance? The mystery only deepened when in October of that year, John Courser from Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin, claimed the campsite was his own. Courser's delayed claim and inability to explain the reason for his tardiness in doing so raised eyebrows, especially since Michael had previously worked at a youth camp near Land O'Lakes. This raised the possibility that Michael and Courser might have known each other. In a quest for answers, Tom Larson, Michael's brother, reached out to the now elderly Courser in 2022. Courser, at 90 years old, claimed he had no memory of why he delayed claiming the campsite or of meeting Michael Larson. The case took another turn when efforts to revisit it with modern DNA forensic were stymied by the mysterious disappearance of the boots and bones previously found. These crucial pieces of evidence, along with their records, had inexplicably vanished, leaving the case at a standstill. The enduring mystery of Michael Larson's disappearance remains unsolved to this day. His father, Glenn, clung to hope until his last days, interpreting every missed call or abrupt hang-up as a potential sign from Michael. Michael remains the only person to have gone missing in that park, and the search for answers continues. Tom Larson has provided a DNA sample to aid in the investigation, and cadaver dogs have been deployed once more. Hunters are still encouraged to look for any evidence that might shed light on the fate of Michael Larson. Anyone with information on the disappearance of Michael Larson is urged to contact Michael Knack, park manager, or John Pepin, a writer at the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. The hope for closure, or perhaps a revelation, persists as the mystery of Michael Larson continues to echo through the Porcupine Mountain Wilderness State Park, a beautiful yet unforgiving landscape that holds within it a story yet to be fully told. If you've enjoyed this content from a universe of mystery, please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my new and upcoming content.